Hi, I'm Steven Souza, sometimes STEVOVO, and you're watching From the Cape with Bass, hosted by Daniel Peterson.
Hi, everybody. We're here today at the UCT College of Music bass room with great bass player Stephen D'Souza. Stephen, can you tell us what your first musical experience was?
Of course. Hi. Hello. Thank you for having me. Um, so my first sort of influences in music, I guess, uh, just about myself. I've moved around quite a bit when I was smaller. I've lived in like Durban, East London, Joburg. Eventually, found my way here to Cape Town, and I've been here for quite a while now. But I remember specifically in East London, probably was around just before. I think we left there when I was around 6. So the first couple of years, 3, 4, 5, up into 6, my mom would always like sing to me nursery rhymes or little like lullabies, I guess, to put me to sleep. And I think that definitely did help train my ear a bit. And my mom she wasn't like a professional musician or professional singer there, but she can sing. So and at least in tune as well. So that's what kind of I think helped my ear develop. My dad, on the other hand, he can whistle kind of, but singing and that, I don't know if that's his forte. Um, my dad didn't really do anything musical, but my mom did play piano, I think, for a little bit of her life. Obviously, never went pro or anything like that, but she had some sort of musical background, and I think that's where I kind of get my background from. Maybe I don't know if it's in the genes, if it's in the blood, or how that stuff works. But my ear was definitely trained from like a young age, I guess, just through the sounds around the house, her singing. Um, my grandfather, actually, also my mom's dad, he unfortunately passed away last year. But he always had this whistle around the house, and it's like I don't even know if I can do it. It's like a, and like he wouldn't even know that he was doing it. He would be working in the garden, or he was one of those like hands-on guys. He would just be working on stuff, and you would just hear this whistle from out of nowhere, and you know it's him, but you don't even know where he's coming from. He could be up the street, and it was like a loud, prominent whistle. I can't do it properly. Um, and he always used to he always used to play stuff around their house. He also had an African grey parrot who he used to teach like whistles and things too. So I used to just like sit with this parrot and whistle stuff to it and see if it could respond. And then he also taught it some swear words, which I tried not to learn. um, but that was sort of my formative years, I guess. And then we moved. My dad got a job in Joburg, and when I moved there, I started. I think that was grade 1. Yeah, grade 1. And I'd never had like in East London or anything like that. I never had music classes or anything like that. And when I got to the new school, St. John's, I they they give everybody a recorder. It's like how it is in every other school now. You get a recorder and you just learn, I don't know, basic musical skills, I guess. And I started learning the recorder with these. Well, actually, I think I arrived late in that year as well, because it was a late minute. My dad had to transfer for something. So I think I arrived there in around April, May, somewhere around there. So I was already late. Guys had already started. Picked up recorder and I struggled. Some like a lot of the guys were already ahead of me, and eventually, like I just caught up, and I enjoyed sort of. I'm not going to say the recorder. Don't catch me saying I enjoyed playing recorder, but I enjoyed the musical sense of it. I enjoyed like learning. Also, there was I think the something that I'll come back to later is the drive. There's a sort of like burn inside of you, a burning that or yearning that once you want to like learn things, and even just seeing notes on a page, I was like, yo, like this. What is this foreign? This just looks like a dot with a thing. Um, and eventually, I started learning sort of basic reading skills and that. And I eventually ended up like doing pretty well and passed a lot of the guys, because there's always some guys in the class that don't have anything to do with music. And then the teacher said to my parents, I think one evening, what was parents teacher evenings or something, you should look into him playing something else. I think he's got something actually. And my mum was like, flip, here we go. They're gonna put him on violin. We're gonna hear the screechy violin for the next however many years. And the teacher was like, no, actually, I think he should try cello. As I was a little bit bigger, I was a bit of a chubby kid, so got a cello and tried it out. And that's sort of where then I sort of got classically trained in a way. And that's where I started listening to all sorts of concertos and piano things, sonatas, and cello stuff, I guess, as well. So classical music has a big background. And then also from there, I joined the school choir. So I sang in like a Anglican choir for many, many years. So did all the services and all that kind of stuff.
So what did you sing, bass?
Actually sang tenor. But I'm not like proper bass, but like I can kind of get down there. But yeah, it was cool to, it's also cool to be part of a choir because you get to see, I mean, every voice is different. So there's always a different sort of, a timbre, we call it, a timbre of voice. So it's interesting to see where your voice fits in with like this massive group of people. And even if, I mean, you might be in the tenor section or the bass section, but like your voice isn't the same as the guys next to you. You can maybe hit the same range, but it's not the same thing. And that was cool. It opened my ears to like a bigger sound, but with individual things. So listening to those things. And then also orchestras. I joined orchestras and learned like instruments in the orchestra and that kind of stuff. I mean, from a young age, I guess I didn't really know much about that stuff, but just being in it, you sort of open your ears up to, oh, that's an oboe. Like that's such a weird sounding instrument. Or that's a clarinet. Okay, cool. And then all the brass, like horns and trombone and all that kind of thing. You start learning their individual things, what makes them tick, I guess. And I mean, during all that time, I guess this is now grade 1, 2, when I was playing cello. My mom, or even before, we had like tons of cassettes, obviously, but I was still quite young at like the cassette age. I think when I became a teenager and all that, it was more CDs and that kind of thing. But I always remember having cassettes in the car and my mom playing lots of like basically the Now CD, like the most modern pop hits, but like I don't know how it was on cassette, but something like just normal pop stuff that she would always play, and then like children's cassette stuff, I guess. So nursery rhymes, that kind of thing. And I think, I don't know, I forgot. I think I went for swimming lessons or something, and she would always play like these cassettes in the car on the way there, on the way back. So always just listening to like classical music, listening to pop stuff. I would say that was like the foundation of it all.
So Stephen, can you tell me why you actually gravitated towards the bass, towards the lower notes, from all of the classical training and choirs and everything, nursery rhymes and swimming lessons? Why did you choose the bass guitar?
Surprisingly, I think it chose me in a way.
That's a lie.
Well, let me tell you the story. So after cello, my teacher immigrated to Australia. And the school told me, look, there's no new teacher around at the moment. You're going to have to wait for like another 6 months or something if you want to continue. Or we've got a little, I think they call it a baby double bass. It's like a half-size double bass. We have one of those, and we have a teacher that can teach you. I was like, I looked at the thing and I was like, yo, I don't know if I want to carry this thing around. It looks like a mission. Anyway, so then started the double bass, and I was a bit hesitant at first because I didn't like everything was just from cello. I guess everything was just bigger, so the gaps between the notes, like that's a semitone, whereas here I guess this is a semitone. So I actually, to be honest, I didn't even play guitar yet. I was just classically, I played bow, double bass, and all that sort of stuff. And eventually I got into it, and I actually really enjoyed it. And then by grade 9, 10, I thought, no, man, I want to play another instrument. And for some reason, I really wanted to play trumpet. I don't know why. Now seeing all the trumpet guys' lips in that, I'm glad I did. But it was my old teacher, Justin Sassman. He's a horn player, trumpet, trombone, horn, he does it all. He was here at UCT as well. And he said, why don't you try bass guitar? I mean, it's kind of similar to double bass. It's the same strings. You just got to go from vertical to horizontal and just try and figure it out. I was like, okay, fine. I'll try it out and I'll see. And he gave me tons of resources, and he was pushing me. He was like, hey, do you know Victor Wooten? Check him out. Hey, do you know Marcus Miller? Check that out. Do you know Jacko? Check him out. And like from even then, I was starting. He was giving me stuff, and he's not even a bass player, but he was just showing me stuff. And then I actually started bass guitar lessons for a little bit with Werner Spies. Learned quite a bit from him, mainly like the foundational stuff, how to walk over chords and how to even just outline a chord. Because coming from a classical background, like seeing a chord symbol was like, what is that thing? Why do you have a triangle there? What does that mean? B triangle. How do you guys even read that? And eventually it kind of started making sense. And then by the time I got to matric, I'd been to Grahamstown Jazz Festival as well. And I'd seen like all the Cats, obviously. And then also, I don't know which year it was, but I saw Sean Johannes playing there. And I was like, damn, this guy's bad. Like, I need to learn from him.
So, Stephen, can you tell us about your formal musical education?
Yes. So as I mentioned, I did some in school. And then after seeing Sean Johannes at Grahamstown, now Makanda, I was like, I need to learn from this guy. And I applied for all over. I applied at WITS and UCT and that kind of thing. But I got in here and I was just like, that's me. I'm going to go see him. And then what I didn't realize either is that at the time, there was a double bass teacher here named Hein van der Gein. And he's like the guru. Like, I want to call him a wizard of bass. Like, he knows everything. If you're struggling with something, he'll deconstruct it to like its most basic form, and you'll go out of the lesson like understanding everything that you didn't understand when you went there. So luckily I had the two of them in tandem, like helping me with each instrument. And obviously like Sean Johannes can play double bass as well, so I was getting his input there, but mainly on here. And learned quite a few things. I did the 4-year undergrad, and then now I'm currently trying to finish off my masters, but COVID has sort of messed that up a bit. But hopefully at the end of this year I should be done. Hopefully. That's about it.
Wow, man. That's so cool. So end of the year we're gonna have a party.
Definitely. I can't wait.
Okay, man. Can you tell us about the albums that you've worked on and the artists?
Okay. There's quite a few. I hope I don't forget. It all started with, do you know Daryl Andrews?
Yeah.
Yes. Daryl, I was here, I think I was in 2nd or 3rd year. And Daryl said to me, hey, man, I I want to record a big band album. And also, being here at UCT, you also kind of get open to that big band sort of idea. I wasn't in the big band at that time, I think. I only got into the big band later, but this was like my first experience playing in a proper big band, and it was for a recording. He wanted to record Daryl Andrews Jazz Orchestra. And that went super well. I really enjoyed it. But now even listening back, I can hear like, oh, that was a younger version of myself playing. And that was also on one of my older basses. We'll get to the equipment part, but I really enjoyed that. So that's one, Daryl's big band album. Then I think I did Murray Buitendach, a great trombonist. We did an album with him, a quartet album called You Are My Everything. That was super cool as well. More double bass on that one. That was a great album. Then, was in a bit of a like an indie ska rock band for a bit called Money for Barley. We recorded an EP called Sex, Wax and Salty Cracks. And just did like all the bar pub stuff around, went to Stellenbosch, played at Class and all that. Then also did a few songs on one of McCoy Mrubata's Brass Cup, I think it's 3. He's got Brass Cup 1, 2, and then he always tries to get different musicians on the album. So he came down and he got a few of us from the other band that I'm in, the Unity band. He got us in and we recorded, I think it's like 3 songs on the album, and then the rest are done in Joburg with other guys or Durban and that kind of thing. So that was really cool to be a part of. Also to play with McCoy was, he's a legend.
Can you tell us about the gear that you have?
Okay, so, well, first and foremost, I started off like, as we all do, cheap with like, I mean, you don't have to spend lots of money in the beginning to get the sound. The sound is more in here, I guess, you know. So I started with a Squier jazz bass, and I still have it. I actually turned it into I bought a fretless neck and put a fretless neck on it, and that's like now my fretless. Then a few years being here at UCT, I got this beautiful bass through Sean Johannes. He's got a deal with Sire. And from there, like, this has been my workhorse for everything. I don't know, I just feel more comfortable on 4-string. I do like 5 and 6 and that kind of thing, but I guess this is just, if I just need my go-to bass, this is it. It does everything, especially like, I mean, it's got the normal jazz pickups and that, but when it's obviously, so it's got an active passive switch. Yeah. In active, you just control your volume, your tone, and your pickup selector. All of this doesn't work. As soon as you put it into active, then you've got like power for days. Let me say that. There's 2 9-volt batteries in the back here. Sorry, it's taped up. That's actually not a good advert for Sire. But it's like every bass. Those plastic things always break. So it's got 2 9-volt batteries. And as soon as you turn it on, it's just like this booming, powerful kind of thing. I'll see if I can like... let me see. So this is just flat. This is a flat side. And then just like with the bass bump, you'll hear it back later. It actually might have peaked there. I don't know. I don't know. But the power in this thing is great, and like I can dial in any sound that I want to. If I want to go for a more Marcus Miller slappy sound, I can hoy a bit of treble and bass. If I want more of a Jacko thing, I can put back pickup, and then I normally bump up the mids a little bit, and then you get that like punchy sort of Jacko-y sound. So there's a lot of control with this bass, which is what I love. So that's why it's my workhorse. I take it. It can do almost anything. Then I bought a Fender P bass recently.
You must have a Fender P bass.
Right? It's mandatory. So got one of those. It's like a lekker sage green color. It's different, which I like. And I got a friend of mine to paint a toucan on the pick guard here as well. So it's like a kind of piece of art as well. Then I have a Yamaha TRB6. That's like if I need all the strings, then I go for that. And then obviously my double bass, which doesn't really have a brand, but I know it was made in Russia. And I think it's over 60 years old now, something like that. So it's quite a bit of an old bass. I think it's solid wood on the top, and then it's like the laminate wood on the sides and the back. But that thing, I have had issues with it. I've had and it's always like with bass guitar, when you have an issue, it's something like a string snapping, or maybe the tuner's a bit loose, or like some wiring went out or something. But with double bass, it's like completely different. Like I had the whole neck come off at some point. It was not lekker. And like I've never had it happen to me, but I've seen people where the whole bridge just like breaks in half. It's crazy. It also like luckily I haven't snapped a string on there either, but I've also seen that, and it's like almost like a weed whacker, like flying around. So it's definitely a temperamental instrument, but like the sound that you get from it is great. So love that as well.
Can you tell us about these pedals that you have here?
Yes. So I don't know. It just worked out this way, but all the pedals that I have here are Boss pedals. Maybe partners can couple me there. But I do have other pedals, but these are the ones that I sort of use. Maybe not the loop station. I don't use this too often, but when I need to. So this is a RC3 Boss looper. Then this is the be all and end all of octavers. It's that OC2 Boss. I think it's also the Japanese. They had like Japanese or Korean versions. I'm kind of a gearhead, but not the biggest gearhead. But I know that this one is like the special thing. And surprisingly, I found this on Gumtree for $500. Wow. And it didn't work at the time, but I took it in. There's a store, Gear Junkie, in Woodstock. Took it in there. They fixed it quick fast for like cheap as well. So I got like a rare vintage pedal for almost nothing, which surprising. Yeah, you just check Gumtree and you can always find rare things. And then this is the Boss GT1B, which is my little multi-effects rig. I guess it can do almost anything. It's got a little looper in here. It's got a tuner. It's got all little effects. You can save presets. It can do a lot. Tiny little volume pedal. I mean, it's a bit finicky here and there, and it's not as sturdy as like a proper pedal board with a volume pedal and all that kind of stuff, but it gets the job done. Yeah. And it's light, it's small, you can pack it in your backpack and take it anywhere. So it's not a massive pedal board, but one day I'm going to get a pedal board. I have a whole bunch of other pedals I've been trying to experiment with. I've got what do you call overdrives and fuzzes and wahs, a flanger here and there. But I don't use them all the time. Yeah. The one thing that I did get is a MXR chorus thing, which I use on fretless, which sounds really nice. And I think that's what Jacko kind of did back in the day as well. It's just a weird, funky sound, but it sounds really cool on fretless. Other than that, I think that's about it. And then obviously the Mark Bass amp, which I also actually, Sean Johannes also helped me.
Let's go back to Sean.
Yeah, you see, he's the one. But he got me in contact with this guy Anton Stella from Yamaha World in Joburg, and I think they're the guys that import the Mark Bass. And Anton was super helpful. He was like, "Yeah, no, we'll get you a good price." He chatted to one of the stores down here, sent it down, and then I paid through them, and everything was sorted. So, and it's been great. It's the little 121 CMDP. I think that's the proper name. It's a little 12-inch speaker with a little tweeter. Yeah. basic sort of preamp and that. They've got there's two little knobs on it, VPF and VLE, which are a bit different. They're sort of like I hope this isn't wrong. VLE I think is more of it's like a vintage sort of sound. So as you start putting it on, it sort of adds like, I guess it's more of like a tubey. I don't know. It sounds great with P bass. I can tell you that. And then the VPF is like, I think it's just, it tightens up the sound a little bit. So the more you turn that on, it makes it a bit punchier. Normally I have them off, to be honest. I dial it in when you need it. But other than that, it's like it's a great basic sound that you need. Like it doesn't color your sound too much, and it just gives you like a great warm fat sound, which is I love. And also like the form factor of it, the little 12, it's light, it's easy, like gigging around, doing bar, jazz, even wedding gigs, like carrying, because sometimes weddings you have to like set up here and then they'll do pre-drinks here or something, and then please can you move to the reception or whatever here, and then the party is going to be there. So moving around with the stuff, I'm always like looking for stuff that is light and that can work around, like moving around for gigs and that, and also just packing the car. I was like, I don't have like one day I'll have a bucky or something, but I just have a little hatchback.
So don't buy a 1400 bucky.
No. But yeah, that's my setup in a nutshell. Yeah.
Okay, Stephen, can you tell? Do you have any advice for young up and coming bass players and musicians?
Yes. So what I would say is keep your ears open. And I mean, I don't know what I remember. Like teachers always saying, like, listen, don't open your mouth, like in class. And some of that is true. Yes, like when you're with professionals or with people that know a lot about their instrument or about music in general, just listen. Like, don't try and. I mean, we all like to think that we know a lot, but listen to what they have to say. Don't try and like blurt your kind of opinion over everything. Like listen to what they say. Listen to how they say it. Listen to how they do things. And that goes to a band sense as well. When you join a band, you're not trying to outplay everyone in the band. You want to listen to them and converse with them. You want to make music together. So I would say keep your ears open and not your mouth. But in the same sense, you need to ask lots of questions. Like whenever I didn't know something, I think Sean Johannes hated me at the end because I would just ask him questions, like how do you do that? How do you do that? I would see him do something and I'd be like, what is that? You have to show me that. Slow it down again. How do you do that? So ask lots of questions, but also listen. Yeah. And with that, I think there's just a natural drive, I guess, that you have as a musician. Like you want to learn things, you want to be able to achieve things. You see something, you're like, yo, I wish I could do that. Let me go practice it. There's this drive that it can't be taught, I guess, but you just got to keep it going. Don't let the flame burn down, I guess. And just, like shoot for the stars. You might miss, but hey, you land on the moon or something like that. There's always a great saying. I also played basketball in school, and the coach said, what was I saying? Hard work beats talent when talent stops working hard. So you could be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't practice and you don't do your stuff, your hard, nitty-gritty sort of work, people that are doing that will surpass you at some point. You just got to have a good work ethic and have that drive and just want to learn things. And I think that's the most important thing. Being open, listening, and just taking in things. You got to be a sponge in the end of the day. Just soak it all up and not overtly put your opinions on everybody else, I guess. Like, don't get into a band and just start playing like what you like to play. It's about making music together. That's for at home. I mean, you can do whatever you like to at home. You can play whatever you want. But when it comes to the sense of working with people, and that is our industry, you work with people all the time. It's difficult to, I mean, you can do a solo gig, but as a bass player, it's kind of difficult to do a solo gig. Learning how to accompany people, and especially singers, that can be difficult. I've learned that in the jazz realm, I guess. Like, a singer will come with a tune that's, you might know the tune, it might be a well-known tune, but that they're going to do it in F sharp major or something. Now you got to transpose in your head, okay, that's that chord now, okay. And also just following their cues, like, because vocalists like to stretch time, or you know, they'll hear a version of something and they'll like copy that just for that part of the song, and you got to be able to like, that's what they're doing, okay, follow them, help them, because if you're just playing your own thing and they trying to do their best and you clash at some point, they're not going to sound lekker, and the whole band's not going to sound lekker. So it's listening. I would say that's like the most important thing. You got to keep your ears open.
Stephen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for making time for me, and Godspeed on your journey, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much for liking and sharing this video with your family and friends. Please follow From the Cape with Bass on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you so much. God bless you.